There were signs. This has become the running joke in my inner circle since both of my coming outs in my early 30s. There were signs like 7-year-old me standing on my seat at a Temptations concert, proudly singing every single word to My Girl. Or 10-year-old me picking my favorite NSYNC member in a panic because my friends were pressuring me to do so. It was Lance, by the way. There were signs like 12-year-old me matter-of-factly saying to an aunt of mine that my voice was much more boyish than my friends. I played volleyball and softball. My first few cars were Subarus. I ticked so many stereotypical boxes that by the time I came out, most people said, well, yeah, that checks out. But if there were so many seemingly obvious signs, how did it take me 30 years to start to discover myself? When I told my aunt that my voice was more boyish, she rushed to assure me that it was just as girly as my friends and I shouldn't say such mean things about myself. Now, I'm sure that she thought she was addressing an insecurity because of her bias around sex and gender. There was no room for curiosity. It was a problem to be solved, and I'm sure she walked away thinking that she had helped me with my self-esteem. But the shame that I felt in that moment made me go quiet. We don't always know the impact we have on others. But that's the thing about bias. We all have it. I apologize. But that's the thing about bias. Even when we have the best of intentions, our biases, our unchecked assumptions and opinions can often cause harm. I am someone who works to create brave spaces for learning about the queer community. I work with businesses and individuals to help change organizational systems and implement new inclusive protocols, but really, I work to change minds. And when I tell people, leaders, and allies that the best thing they can do is unpack their bias, I often start to lose them. They think that having a bias must mean something bad, or if they were to have any, that they would be bad, or they assume that they don't have any at all. I can't be biased. My friend is gay. I can't be biased. I am part of the community. My parents are the biased ones. I just need to practice the name more. I just need to learn more about pronouns. I am learning. I'm trying. But the truth is, we all have biases, and our implicit biases impact how we interact with the world and with one another. Our biases rule our decisions and our responses, and we collect them over a lifetime of experiences and messages. I didn't have queer representation growing up. Even if there had been an abundance of positive queer representation back then, it would not have been in my house. I spent the majority of my 20s married to my child's father. I did what was expected of me, but no matter what I did, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy in my relationship or in my choices or in my body. Therapy didn't help. Not really. And there wasn't a self-help book on the shelves that was going to make a difference. By 29, I was so depressed that I had a hard time getting out of bed. I would put on a mask and try my best for my friends and my family, but When I was alone at home, I would lie down in darkness whenever I could. I didn't know I was gay. I didn't know I was trans. I didn't even know yet that I had PTSD, and I was still in survival mode. I was 31 when I dated a woman for the first time after the agreed upon separation, and it didn't take me very long to realize that I am very, very gay. That relationship was romantic and passionate. We would dance to old records. We would stay up all night on the phone. She even learned how to play My Girl on the bass as a surprise for me. Out of the blue one day, I received a video of her slowly, carefully selecting each string, but I knew that song from the very first note. I was over the moon. But for a time, I kept the relationship a secret because I knew there were people in my life who would ridicule me and leave. But the longer I kept it to a select few, the more it started to taint my newfound joy. So I came out. To have most people say, well, yeah, that checks out, and there were some signs. That 3-month relationship was a whirlwind. Now, there are other terms for that in our community, none of which are forever, but it was impactful. She helped me to understand a core piece of who I am, and something she said to me once helped me understand the next. She told me once that I was the most feminine person she had ever dated. The most feminine person, as if she didn't know me at all. Sure, I still had long hair back then, and yes, I enjoy makeup, but actually feminine. We had a joke among my friends that I was feminine by gay standards and masculine by hetero standards. I was the tomboy. I was not like other girls. A few months and a Shane phase later, if you know, you know, a couple know, the world shut down. And as I put on my KN95 with everyone else, my other mask slowly came off. Without anything or anyone to dress up for, I started dressing for myself. I stopped gravitating towards the Vera Wang floral top and more often reached for the Ramones t-shirt. I donated 8 bags of clothes. I donated 8 bags of clothes during a time when I couldn't try things on at the store and instead had to order online and hope that it would work. I also started dating someone who saw beneath my mask from the first day that we met. On my 32nd birthday, while still in quarantine, my partner cut my hair in their backyard and gave me my first faux hawk. It was the first time that I cried about my hair, and I cried because it was the first time that I really started to see myself. We shared so much tenderness and joy in that moment, and I was excited to share it with other people because, of course, they would see it, and of course, they would feel the same way. But my parents' comments brought back that familiar shame. And it was not long after that I made the decision to cut contact with them. Without ridicule and in its place support, I was able to try on more than just clothes and hairstyles. Words like sibling felt better than sister, partner felt better than girlfriend. The name Dani felt more like me. So my partner and I started to use it. At first, it was behind winks and only when we were alone, but soon I didn't want her or anyone else to call me anything else. At 32, I reintroduced myself with my name and my pronouns, and I hoped that I would be celebrated and well-yad like I was last time. But it was not like last time. Some were supportive, Yes, others didn't know what to say, and some just unfriended me on social media without a word. Our society is not kind to transgender people. I came out just in time for the record-breaking amounts of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation and record-breaking amounts of fatal violence against transgender people. When people think of bias, they think of those extremes, the phobias and the isms that lead to dehumanization, loss of rights, and far too often, loss of life. So it is no wonder when I say to allies that they should look at their biases, that they shrink away. They don't see themselves as extremists who want to cause harm, so what biases could they have? What harm could they cause? I was venting to my best friend at the time about one of the proposed bills that would ban transgender children from playing sports, and she interrupted me to say, "Who cares?" Now, I know what she meant, but the comment hit that place of shame, and I said, I care. I need my friends to care. People care so much that this is going to be made into law, and those who love people in my community need to help stop it. I said, I really need my friends to be better allies. She did not talk to me after that conversation. But my community needed help. My friends didn't know how to help. I didn't know how to help, but I knew that I wanted to. As jarring as it is to come out and have people debate your human rights, I wanted my voice in the ring. And I wanted my experience and my journey to provide some of the visibility that I never had. I didn't really know what that was going to look like, but I knew that a degree was a good place to start. So I went to a university, both as a student and soon after, an employee. Now, I was afraid to apply because I haven't changed my name yet legally, but I was relieved when they asked me for a preferred first name. I shared my name with pride and applied, and I was so excited to get my acceptance letter. Congratulations, dead name. Here's your student email, dead name. Welcome to your home page, dead name. No. I shared my name, and I was not going to spend the next few years being called the wrong one. I spoke to my admission counselor who did not know how to fix it. I talked to a team lead. I talked with whatever department would listen. And when I started as an employee weeks later and ran into similar issues, I spoke with more people. Who do I talk to? Okay, who do I talk to now? Where do we go from here? But there was an issue that I encountered over and over and over again. Not many people knew what the term dead name meant, let alone the harmful impact of using one. The system was not set up for transgender people, and the people behind the system did not know how and why it needed to change. They thought they were inclusive because they asked for a preferred first name and pronouns. And while that's a great start, there was still a massive gap in understanding. I messaged a colleague one day after they dead named a student and reminded them to use the preferred first name on file if one was listed. It was a message I had sent countless times to countless people by then, and the response, like many others, was a little defensive at first. But they said, there's no training on preferred name use. And I said, you're right. There isn't. There was no training on how and why to use these different names or where to find pronouns in the student file or how to ask for them. There was no training. So I made one. My goal was for 2S LGBTQIA plus students to just come to school, and for employees in our community to just come to work without having to self-advocate and educate in order to exist. And after 2 years of advocating and educating and network and training and consulting with leaders in various departments, I've discovered my passion. In that time, I've also worked with a nonprofit. I have talked with legislative staff on Capitol Hill in DC. I have sat on panels. I wrote a book on how to be a better trans ally. I have started to use my voice. I have started to change systems. I have started to change minds. I recently did a sensitivity reading for a friend of mine. For those who don't know, a sensitivity reader is someone who specializes in one area of DEI and offers feedback to authors to help minimize potential harm. My friend came to me because one of her characters was coming out as trans in the upcoming novel, and she wanted to make sure she did an okay job by him and his community. There was this beautiful scene where the mother of the character was observing her child and noticed how light he looked since sharing his identity and starting to make social changes. In my mind, I could imagine younger me having that opportunity instead of the weight of shame and expectation that I carried back then. I noticed that as an adult, I do feel lighter now that I am myself, even as I mourn the missed opportunity of my youth. All I said to my friend, though, was that it was a really, really relatable scene. And she said this: honestly, fully transparently, you kind of inspired that for me. Because I feel like when I see you now, you feel so much more comfortable in yourself. We don't always know the impact that we have on others. I've come a long way in my journey of self-discovery and examination, and I still have my own biases to unpack, especially around gender and expression. Like, I'm masculine, sure. What does that even mean? Do I like this thing, or was I told to like it? Do I not like this thing, or do I only not like it because I was told to like it at some point or another? Now, I do not have it all figured out, and I'm finally in a place where I'm not pressuring myself to. I am 35, and I have been on testosterone for 2 years this month, and my voice is definitely more boyish than it used to be. And I will continue to use this voice to educate and advocate. And I'll continue to use this voice as I figure out my new range to still proudly sing every single word to my girl. Thank you.